Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video is the time lapse of my urban sketching process from a live location in pen and ink medium. Along with the video, I will also be sharing some useful tips and techniques that can be helpful if you're a beginner who's trying to get started with urban sketching, an architecture student or an architect, or just someone who loves to draw. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications. So, this particular location is called the National Art Gallery, located inside the Egmore Museum Complex in Chennai, India, and it's a beautiful example of Indo-Sasanic architecture. As for the tools, I'm using an A5 sketchbook from Scholar called Noir. It's wire-bound and has a thick backing cover that is highly helpful when holding it for drawing. I'm using technical pens from different brands with line weights of 0.3, 0.5 and 0.7, and also a Pilot V-Sign pen for the darkest lines. These are my preferred mediums. They are very simple, straightforward and easy to use, but you can choose the ones that suit you. So the first thing I'm starting with is to draw the line of horizon, and I also draw a symmetrical vertical line at the center of the page which divides the page into two. These basic lines act as a guide along which I can arrange my composition. There are different types of compositions other than the symmetrical, like the rule of thirds, diagonal composition and so on. After that, I try to draw the basic shapes or outlines of the building. I try to see the building as if it was made of simple two-dimensional shapes like squares or rectangles. This can help us to get the right proportions and not get overwhelmed by the amount of detail in the building. So start with the larger outer shapes first and then go on to outline the smaller shapes. I'm using a pencil all along these steps, which is kind of flexible. Also, using the pencil, I'm not really detailing out the forms, but I'm only marking out the positions of them. You can tell by the way I'm holding the pencil at its end and making quick scribbly lines. Once you are happy with the outlines, you can start inking the sketch. I like to use a pen with a line weight that's not too thin nor too thick for this, so that there's a middle ground. Focus on getting the outer shapes of the building, windows and doors, but you don't have to stress if your lines are not perfectly straight. Quite obviously, it's almost impossible to draw perfect straight lines while standing at a location and drawing. So it's completely fine the way you draw it. From the outlines and larger shapes, I then move on to add smaller details like the moldings and cornices, for which I use a pen of a thinner line weight, say a 0.3. Let's not focus on the very minor details, but only try to recreate the details that are largely visible. At this point, you can also start shading the parts of the building where there are shadows using a 0.3 pen. Observation plays a major role in live sketching, and it's a constant process of decision making on which details to add and which ones to avoid. So it's not just replicating what you see, but rather recreating the scene with a touch of your own unique artistic capabilities. We can now use a thicker pen of 0.7 or 0.8 on areas which are darker and away from the light source. This will give a nice touch of depth in your drawings and break the monotony of lines. At this point, your drawing would have already come to life and you can make the final touches depending on your liking. I like to use a variation of pen thickness to make adjustments and slightly exaggerate a few areas in the sketch. I also like to add foreground elements like trees and plants and some vague idea of the surrounding context. This entire process took me an hour and 30 minutes. You can choose to make simpler or minimal sketches if you do have time constraints. So that's it from this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Please hit that like button and subscribe to support my channel. Comment down below if you have any questions and I'll be happy to answer them. See you on the next one.